Welcome to the Flash Performance Garage, where I'm going to start putting together a fabrication table. It wasn't too long ago that fabrication tables became pretty popular with the do-it-yourself build kits. And I've always wanted one, but I've never been able to afford one. They've been pretty expensive, and they're expensive to ship. I was tooling around on the old Facebook and I came across this one. This one was from Northern Tool, and I'm able to put this together myself, and it weighs about 80 pounds, so it's not super expensive to ship. We're going to put this thing together and see how it all works. This table is a 36 by 24 inch heavy duty fabrication table and has about a 600 pound capacity. It does have the holes based in it and a 24-piece fit-up kit to be able to hold down metal whenever you're doing fabrication. And that was actually one of the big things that I found that I really liked, and why I kind of leaned towards this kit was because of all the accessories that came with it. I didn't have to buy the table and then buy all the added accessories onto it, which you can get a couple $100 in just those. It has the standard 16mm holes that are spaced 1.5 inches apart, which is pretty common for most fabrication tables. The thickness of the top is my main concern, so it is a little bit thinner on the top, and that way they can, of course, keep the cost down and keep the weight down. We're just going to have to be careful that when we're fabricating or welding on it that we don't put too much heat to it and warp the table. This is item 61158, and again, I got this from northerntool.com, so I'll put a link in the description below. This came via FedEx in my FedEx truck. The poor little gal that weighed 100 pounds soaking wet tried to take it off the truck, so be cautious and be careful of your FedEx people. Treat them well. Directions are right on top, and actually it's packed pretty well. All the cardboard boxes are nice and tight, and you got foam all the way around the corners. I think that I might actually follow the directions on this one, so let's go ahead and open those up while we're at it. Now, it does have two different ways that you can set this up. You can set it up as a full table, or you can set it up as a tabletop style unit. I need the actual table sitting on the floor, so I'm going to set it up in that regards. Let's go ahead and take all these foam pieces out and open up all the boxes. As I start taking out the boxes, you'll notice that the boxes are numbered. That guy's number 1, that guy's number 2, 3, there's number 4. So that helps out a lot to know that I don't have to open up all the boxes to be able to start this project. These are going to be all the legs. Get those opened up. Now, as I start taking this apart, there's a foam piece that is super stuck down to the tabletop. And actually, the tabletop is already welded to the frame. That was one of my questions. So just so you know, the tabletop and the frame are already welded together. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. There's no welding to put this thing together. At first look, they do have this sticky material on here to keep it from rusting, and it did a really good job. There's no signs of rust or moisture anywhere on this, so definitely a plus. So if we look at the little boxes, box 1 and 2 have the little corner bracket with the footsie on it. That way you can make that a tabletop if you want to. So that is box 1 and 2, and box 3 and 4 are what appears to be all our accessories. So we'll set those aside for the moment and only work with box 1 and 2. Pull out all those feet, and you'll notice that the hardware is in there as well. Now, they only gave us one set of feet, and those feet are going to need to be taken off of these corner brackets, and those will need to be put into the longer legs in my application to make the stand have an option for level. Now that I have all the legs put together with the little feet, I don't need these little guys anymore, so those will go on my metal pile, and I am sure I will find a use for those later on. In box 1, we got a bunch of the Allen head socket cap screws, and those are going to be for our accessory and clamp down pieces. In box 2, we have a lot of those clamp down pieces, like these guys. They have little magnets on them. So those we'll just go ahead and set to the side until we get to the point where we're ready to assemble those. And we'll be using the bolts with the lock nuts to assemble all the legs. Now I have this flipped upside down. Actually, it's still in the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break the sides of the box so I can fold those down go ahead and assemble it while I have it on the sawhorses and not have to worry about scratching on the floor or lifting it up and down a bunch of times. The next common question is going to be, how flat is it? And when we measure the thickness of the top, we're looking at about 0.16. So we are less than a 1/4 inch thick on the top. So that's going to give us a little bit of deviation possibility, especially if we're adding a lot of heat to it. So let's see how they did coming directly from the factory on how flat it is. So I have a piece of precision steel here. This is a precision straight edge, 20 inches long. And we can set it across there to see what kind of deviation we have. And actually, let's set the mood and give us a little bit of mood lighting. Oh yeah, let's turn the lights off. All right, now we got the lights off. We can shine a light underneath here, and you can see there is a little bit of a gap. And I got myself a feeler gauge. Let's see what fits here. So the only feeler gauge that I have is a 10/1000 feeler gauge. And I can't quite fit a 10/1000 feeler gauge underneath there. So you can see that there is some light coming through. If we go over to an edge, let's see if we can fit a 10/1000 underneath there. I can fit a 10/1000 underneath there. And I've kind of felt around this table to try and figure out where some of the deviation is. And it seems to be right here in the middle. Let's see if I can get you some light here. See that light flashing? So when they welded in the center of the table, let's go right on the weld. That's going to be where the biggest deviation is. And I can fit a 10/1000 underneath that one side. So it's about a 10/1000 on each side. So if you're looking for a precision welding table, this might not be the best one, but being only 10/1000 out for the price point and what I'm doing, I think I can probably work with that. So let's check out the accessories. The accessory kit was one of the things that got me excited about this set. It does come with quite a few accessories, and the other tables that I've looked at, you have to buy those in addition to. So not only are you spending a ton of money on the table, but then you got to spend a ton of money on the accessories. And this one comes with it. So it comes with quite a few different accessories already included. It has your hold downs. These things here actually are magnetic, and they will stick underneath the table, and that turns any of these holes into a threaded hole for our socket head cap screws. We have our adjustable slides. We have our pucks and our V-blocks, and the V-blocks have a groove in them, so you can also put flat plate steel vertically if you need to. So those will work with flat, or of course any round products that will work in conjunction with. And most of these, what I've noticed as I've played with them, is that they work in conjunction with each other. So if we have a V-block in one of our sliders, we can use one of our flat blocks and another V-block to get it to be the same height. That way we can have our adjustability that we need and still have everything being flat and concentric. We don't have to worry about the different heights and getting stuff out of whack. Now we can put the flat blocks in by themselves, put the V-blocks on top of it, or we can also use our flat blocks on our plates at the same time. So let's use a couple of these pieces and show how you fit all those together. When we're talking about these clamp downs, they do have a nut and a bolt built onto them. The table is not thick enough to be able to just slide it in and have it stay. So we do need to put that through and then put the nut on the bottom side to be able to use our hold downs. And that gives us our 360 degrees and lots of movement up and down. Our adjustable blocks have a V hold down, and we put that V towards the block, and that gives us the ability to move that around. We would use one of our magnetic blocks, put that underneath, and that stays put, and then we can screw that in. To be able to make that so we can slide that anywhere that we need to. If we want to change that out, we can do that. Putting the V block in there, giving us lots of options to be able to hold down whatever we need. It's a pretty simple process, and they give you a lot of the bits and pieces to be able to do some pretty good setups. Let's strap some pieces of metal down. I got an easy little setup here. I'm going to put a piece of round stock in a couple of the V blocks, and I took into consideration that little bit of a high spot that we have in the middle, so I don't have any supports there. I want to take this square block tube, and let's say we want to weld it to this piece, so I have that notched out, and I can put it right there. Now I need to hold everything down. These hold down adjusters just slide right on and twist down, and I can maneuver those wherever I need to. We'll put this guy right above our block, and on that one I have the flat black pucks, and then we'll put this guy down here. Same idea, right above that black puck. Now I have everything nice and tied down, and I have plenty of accessories left over if I wanted to add some more pieces to this jig. So this is actually ready to weld now that I have everything in the same plane and I have everything nice and tight and fit together. I don't have to worry about it moving around. So it makes a pretty nice setup. I'm kind of happy with it. If you're looking for a welding table solution, I would highly recommend this setup. It does have a little bit of flatness deviation, but for me as a home hobbyist, I can work with that. I'm not doing anything that precision that I need to weld. It's got all the accessories that we need. It's got the normal spacing for the holes, so it makes it a very easy process to work with. And if I wanted to add more accessories, some more expensive accessories later on, I could do that. My next step is to build a shelf on the bottom side to be able to hold all these accessories and then put it to work. If this is something you think you'd be interested in, check it out in the description below. Again, I got this from Northern Tool, northerntool.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.